Hi everyone, thanks for joining Circle Cloud's webinar on how Microsoft 365 offers complete protection for your company's information. Just a couple of points to make before we get started. Everyone is on mute, and that's purely because obviously there is a lot of content that we've sort of condensed into this webinar, and so we can't really engage in too much of a dialogue. So we have left everyone on mute. But if you do want to ask questions, there is a facility on the right hand side of your screen. So if you just click it, pop your question in there. We'll try and get back to you during the session, but it's quite unlikely, like I say, just because of the amount of content that we've got. But pop your question in anyway, and we're going to pull a report of all the questions off at the end. And we're going to send the questions and answers through to all participants after the webinar. Okay. So before we get started, it's that there are obviously a few people on the webinar who, well, quite a few actually, who don't know who we are and who've never dealt with us before. So it's necessary that we just briefly introduce ourselves. There's two people presenting today, the first of which is me. There I am on the screen right now. Name's Andy Ballantyne, Sales and Marketing Director for Circle Cloud. I've been with the business since 2015. I was originally drafted in to develop the sales function of the business, but I've since been drafted into other projects as well, primarily around legal and compliance. And I led the implementation of our ISO 27001 certified ISMS. And I've since gone full circle back into sales and marketing. So yeah, I won't say any more than that. I'll give my colleague Tom the chance to introduce himself now.
Hi guys, my name's Tom Robertson and I'm the Technical Director at Circle Cloud, and I'm one of two directors that started the business back in 2013, and my focus is primarily on the technical side of the business, so mainly implementing Office 365 and Azure infrastructure basically. So that's been what I've been working on over the last sort of 6 or 7 years, technically implementing these products, and now more so managing the projects as well to implement these products.
Excellent. Cheers, Tom. So I'll give you a brief overview of what we're going to cover today. Obviously, there was information provided in the tickets on Eventbrite, but just so you understand the structure of the webinar. So there it is on the screen now. So like I say, as I previously mentioned, there are quite a lot of people on the call who've never dealt with us before, who don't really know who Circle Cloud are as a business. So I think it's necessary just to do a brief introduction of Circle Cloud and what we're about as a company. So I'll do that. That'll take me about 5 to 10 minutes. And then from there, we're going to jump straight into the technical demonstrations with Tom. So Azure Information Protection, Conditional Access and Single Sign-On will all be covered respectively. Each will take about 15 minutes. It's not going to be a real technical deep dive into the nuts and bolts, but we will have a look at the back end and policy configuration and that sort of thing. And then after that, we're going to look at Circle Cloud's implementation plans, probably take about 5 minutes on that. That's just to give you an idea of how we can help you implement these products that we're going to cover in today's webinar. And then we're going to close briefly for 5 minutes, just to give you an idea of what to expect from us in the follow-up, because we don't want to just leave you with information and then sort of wondering what to do next. So a little bit about Circle Cloud. Circle Cloud, we are ISO 27001 certified, government cloud approved Microsoft Gold Cloud partners. We specialize in the design, implementation and ongoing management of the following products. Microsoft Teams, a product that a lot of people will be certainly more familiar with of late. It is part of the Microsoft Office 365's product suite. So we do a lot of work with it as a collaboration tool and generally just day-to-day business. But the reason it's on the screen there is because we actually offer it as a hosted voice solution. The pandemic has driven a lot of organizations towards considering cloud-based telephony and cloud-based telephone systems. So we would implement Microsoft Teams as a solution for that. We do have a Microsoft Teams webinar coming up in mid-May, I believe. So just keep your eyes out for that on our relevant social media channels. Office 365, one of our core products. It's a product suite that most people, I imagine, on the call will be familiar with. A lot of people, when they think of Office 365, they think of the software as a service sort of version of some of the more traditional Microsoft products. So you've got things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, obviously your Exchange Online. The truth of the matter is there's actually a lot more to Office 365 than that. It's quite a vast and diverse range of products within the suite, a lot of which are focused on information security, hence the purpose of this webinar. So we're going to have a look at 3 of those today. Microsoft Azure, huge product, Microsoft's infrastructure as a service product. We do a lot of work with this, from anything from straightforward cloud-to-cloud backups, all the way through to building entire server environments in there. It's quite a malleable product. I won't go into too much detail on that, but again, that is just one of our core products. And what is worth mentioning, I did touch on it briefly earlier, but we are Microsoft Gold Cloud Platform partners. We were the first Northeast-based organisation to actually achieve that status with Microsoft. But the truth of the matter is now there are a lot of IT companies that can sort of fly the Microsoft Gold flag now, and so it is becoming a little bit saturated, the Gold status. So I suppose the reason I'm saying that is because it does beg the question: so how are we different as a company? So Circle Cloud was founded almost 10 years ago, and ever since day one, we were founded on the principle of trying to power entire organizations using the Microsoft Cloud. That was why we set the business up. That's what we've done since. That's what we do today. And ever since day one, Office 365 and Microsoft Azure have been our core products. So we're really well placed in the market to talk to you about the Microsoft Cloud. That is our business. That's our entire operation. So we are very much specialists in the Microsoft Cloud. I suppose that's the takeaway message on a company level about what I want you just to sort of take away from that slide, really. So yeah, these are Circle Cloud's plans that we've developed off the back of working with Office 365 for a while. I'm going to hand over to Tommy, who's just going to tell you a little bit more about those.
Okay, yeah, so I just want to quickly sort of break it apart in terms of give you a bit of information around what we actually do. So our business is broken into sort of 2 divisions, really. We've got our implementations side of the business, which is exactly what it says on the tin, really. It's we basically work with customers, understand the requirements, use our knowledge and experience to implement products and complete migration projects, that sort of thing there. So it's all implementation and project based. But then we've also got the second part of our business, which is the managed services team. And the managed services team basically offer at a high level 2 things. We either act as a backup sort of department or escalation route for internal IT teams, as like maybe a second or third line escalation for issues with our specialism of Azure and Office 365 products. But then we also have the other part of our managed services, which is where we basically have our own models for implementing Office 365 and Enterprise Mobility Suite in Azure, and we basically create these template plans that fit most of the market's needs in different ways. And under those sort of plans, we manage the full environment, and also we would deal with end user support queries as well and provide a help desk for that.
Cheers, Tom. Yeah, so everything on those plans that you see there, all the products on the left hand side, they're all available, or the functionality that we use them for the purpose of the plans, they're available with the Microsoft Business Premium license. I believe it is still called that. Never know Microsoft. But of those products, there are 3 that we're going to cover today. As I've mentioned, conditional access, single sign-on, and Azure Information Protection. So hopefully you will come away from today with number 1, an understanding of the functionality of the 3 products covered. Number 2, an understanding of how the products can improve your information security, because this is centered around information security really, but just powering that with the Microsoft Cloud. And number 3, an understanding of how Circle Cloud can reduce the decision fatigue that is often associated with the vast product range that Microsoft offers. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to Tom again, who's going to take you through the technical demonstrations. I hope that was useful. Yes, let's jump in.